Hey guys, Lindsay and Danny Vanlife here. Welcome back to another build out video. Keep in mind, I'm not a professional, I'm just doing this for fun. I totally just want to give back to the community. This is how I learned through YouTube. So today is all about propane. I'm going to actually take in this video a 12-gallon propane tank mounted under the van. It's actually going to fuel my hot water heater, furnace, stove, oven, even a barbecue pit at times. Now, a lot of modifications had to be done to optimize my ground clearance. So grab your popcorn, let's go have some fun. Pretty close to the airport here. There's going to be a lot of that for the first bunch of videos, unfortunately. Sorry about that. Propane tank is a 12.2 gallon. There's not a lot of options for horizontal tanks. There's just really only a couple brands. Manchester, Flame King. This is a Flame King. These mounts are just huge. I mean, it'd be beautiful if it was right here, so it'd be as high as possible. There is enough clearance down there to where you could use it like this, but who wants to? Because you want more clearance just for peace of mind and safety of it. It's propane. It's highly flammable. Pretty much what I want to do is take these and shorten them. I want to go as short as possible. You take the bolt, you place it here, and bring that washer in. You really only need this much room. The bolts and nuts are going to be over here. So I mean, I can bring it down all the way to here. And the top part, same thing. It starts curving here at the top. Come to this other angle. So you don't want to be way up here. You still want to be flat. So that brings me to about here. It's about the lowest I can go on the top part. So if I cut this part out, that saves me an additional 2 inches. Huge difference there in ground clearance. So this is an angle grinder. They have different makes and models of it. They usually have a handle right here. This one didn't come with one. That would have been helpful. The cutoff wheel, very thin. It says it's for metal. Also, the grinding wheel, a lot thicker. Here's a comparison. A drill. C-clamp. You could use 2 C-clamps and make certain things a little bit easier. Also could use any kind of clamp you have to isolate things while you cut. 2 wrenches here, 9/16 is what I went for. Used a square, almost forgot what it was called for a second, vice grips to bend the e-brake cables. The drill bit. So I'm going to be using a hardened steel drill bit. Here goes nothing. I've never used one of these in my entire life. So now I'm going to go ahead and drill a hole in the side of this metal. You're going to need a hardened steel or hardened metal drill bit. A lot of them have cobalt on them. Get your safety goggles out here, and to prevent the drill bit from getting too hot and breaking down, you want to use a little bit of oil. You can use 10W30, you can use something like that. I'm just going to dip a little bit in here. I've already made my hole over, my marking over here, and we'll see if I can do it without somebody holding it, so just be careful here. That first one I messed up on, so that's why I'm fixing it, and there's 2 holes. Bolt washer. Lock washer nut. Grade 8 steel bolt, extra hardened, just in case. Might be overkill. Better be safe than sorry in my point of view. Alright, so that's on there. I'm going to tighten it up a little bit, and then what I want to do is I want to flip this upside down. I want to put it on the van. I'm going to take this paper off to show it a little bit better. So I just put it down like this, using these 3 raised areas on both sides. It's about the level, most level spot I think I have. So these are touching. I wiggle it and I'm not getting much movement here, except for I've noticed, can you see that? That one's off a little bit. Might have to use a few washers on there, but it's very, very minor. So it's probably gonna be fine. That's how you do it! And then we've got the tank right here. I'm gonna go into this spot right here. Spare tire could be removed. Living in it full time and going off-road and stuff sometimes. Not hardcore like four-wheel drive style, but definitely want to keep it. So you can see there's this black piece of metal here from the spare mount that may have to be removed. I'm gonna just kind of lift it up here and kind of see, map it out. We're ghetto rigging it here. I don't have anything except for some stuff around the house. I mounted it up with this. It's not screwed in, I'm just checking it out. Looks like it lines up on one of the lower ribs here. One of the lower ribs there, directly in the center for the holes. It is pushed as far forward as possible. This is what's left here. It's real tight. You can see that black piece definitely has to go. It's basically touching the fill, so the inlet. Even with that gone, I've heard that you might have to let air out of the tire. Now this piece comes out and it's fine. This is going to be an elbow coming out this direction. I'm waiting on it to come in the mail, so I don't know how big it is yet. And then here's our ground clearance. It's definitely 2-3 inches above the bottom of the axle, but you can see the bumper here. So when you hit a large bump or you have it loaded to the max, this is the bumper. The axle will go up. This distance is the same distance that the axle will come up. I have to come over here and see if that comes up, will it touch here? If it will, then that's a problem. There's enough room for the axle to go up and down. I measured that, but it's already touching the e-brake, so that's gonna smush it right there. I'm gonna have to figure out if I have to move it towards the rear or if those e-brake cables can be moved just a little bit. We'll see here in a minute. So I took the spare out. These e-brake cables aren't going anywhere. They're in there, the metal is so hard. There's no way to really reroute them. And then I came up with an idea. This is kind of what it looked like before. It goes behind there at least a couple inches. Well, I just used some vice grips and I just bent that one. It's really hard to do. You want to be very careful not to break it. Plenty of clearance for above, but now that gains me clearance for me to bring it that way, or at least have some safety there. So in order to mount this tank here, a couple options. I've seen somebody do just some nuts and washers right here through the floor, and then I just thought, I mean, I know the tank's only 50 pounds and the propane you're putting into it is not going to weigh a whole lot. It'll weigh at least 100 pounds, so I just bought a little steel plate here. I'm going to cut it and I'm going to use that as well as a bolt and a washer just to give it a little extra support here on the top end. Here we are back under the van here, so the spare tire here, tank there. This is the spare tire. I think it's a stabilization to prevent rattle. I'm not sure. You got a little bit of foam under here. So you got two options, in my opinion. Number one, take the bolt out, remove it completely. Option number two, use the angle grinder and cut it there. Now, if you remove it completely, my only concern is what if the tire kind of moves and stuff and makes noise. I don't know if it's going to, so I may just cut it real quick. Probably just gonna break right off, yep. I feel like there's enough room here. I mean, I let the air out of the tire, but it didn't compress. I've got it in position with these e-brake cables bent up. Look how much room there is. What do you guys think? It's pretty good. I'm gonna check the alignment of it and see if it's still where I originally looked at it and make sure it had clearance for the axle, for the e-brakes, and go from there. After you have it in position where you think you like it, take a marker. Come up here, mark your spots where you're gonna drill. Bring this propane tank back down, drill your holes. line it up, put your bolts in. Now if you're going to do what I do, which is use those steel plates after you have the holes drilled and everything, then you'll put the plates on top and you'll mark those, drill those, and go for it. Lay these over the holes, go down there from under, mark one of the holes, drill it, put it back, and then mark the second hole just for accuracy. We're gonna use a little bit of the oil. We're gonna dip the tip in it. We're gonna come down on the mark. We're gonna drill this. We're gonna drill that one. We're gonna put it on the bed of the van, and then we're gonna mark our second holes, come over, do the same thing. So I got those drilled. I put these back over here. I used the bolts to make sure it was fully aligned. Now I'm gonna make my second dot and cut those. Then you don't have to worry about measuring 50 times and screwing up somehow. All right, let's make these dots. Ta-da! As far as hardware, I already showed you what I have here. This is the grade 8 hardened steel. Check this out. Bolt goes straight through. This is how you make your own washers with some steel plates. Gonna drill some holes, cut it with the angle grinder, and I'm just gonna use those because they're heavy duty, why not? Oh, the hardware is complete. Alrighty, we're mounted up. Let's just screw it in and see how it looks. Take all this mounting stuff down and enjoy this final result there and make sure we didn't screw up. Alright guys, that part went pretty easily actually. This is how it looks on top, same as earlier, nothing different. Nice and clean. Come under. Here's our ground clearance. The axle will go up a couple, like 2.5 inches, so it'll always be above the axle, which is cool. Here's our hardware. Here's our space, and I'm sure you want to see the other side. See how close I went. Probably hard to tell there contrast-wise. How about we go like this? Hard to tell on here. So for a quick summary, you're gonna take that propane tank's brackets, you're gonna cut them with the angle grinder, you're gonna bring it down, you're gonna drill new holes and throw bolts and nuts in there to give you another 2 inches of ground clearance, and then you're gonna mount it. Now, you wanna be very careful not to mount it too close to the back axle. You wanna bend up your e-brake lines very carefully, and you also want to watch out for that back tire. Now, if you don't have a 3500 extended, this may not work for you. You might actually have to remove that spare tire altogether. I have a big tip for you. When you cut and you make these customizations to the steel, you're gonna need to spray these down with paint so that it doesn't rust. So that's it guys, I hope you stuck around and finished the popcorn. Love you guys. Hit like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more. We're going to have a lot more videos coming out. And hit that bell for notifications so you're one of the first people to see some of our content.